G'day guys, Aaron from Melbourne Muscular Therapies here. Welcome to another edition of Fix It Yourself. Another really important episode coming up for you today. We are talking about the rotator cuff. So a group of muscles within your shoulder. Now you've heard about it a lot. You've heard about a lot of athletes getting rotator cuff injuries, amateur sports people. You probably might have even been told you've had a rotator cuff injury before. But what we want to talk to you a bit about first is what it is, okay? So a lot of people probably think that it helps with rotation of the shoulder, and it does, but it probably has a more key and more fundamental role in movement of the shoulder and health of the shoulder in general too. So it's made up of four muscles. You've got the Infraspinatus, the Supraspinatus, the teres minor, and the Subscapularis. Okay, so four muscles within the shoulder joint, but why they're really important is to do with the head of the humerus, okay, joining onto the scapula. So where the shoulder joint actually is, okay? So what happens with the join in this area is the little like hole where the head of the humerus goes and attaches to is quite shallow. Okay, so in comparison with the hip, I'll show you here. So where the head of the femur comes and attaches into this acetabulum here on the pelvis, you can see how it's quite deep. Okay, so the head of the femur sits really well in there, and you've also got a neck of femur, which allows there to be a lot of ligaments that attach into this region to protect the head of the femur. Okay, but what happens in the shoulder? That area is a lot less deep and a lot more shallow. Okay, so when the head of the humerus comes and attaches there, there's nothing really holding it there and sucking it into place. Okay. And given that it's not very deep and there's not much of a neck of the humerus, there isn't too much in the way of ligaments. There's a protective ligament and a few ligaments going over the head of the humerus to protect that joint. But if you had, say, the same ligaments as you do in the hip, it would significantly reduce the amount of movement that you could have in this arm, okay, in the shoulder itself. So the body, masterful design, what it's done is, it's ensured that all these four rotator cuff muscles, their tendons actually go and attach onto the head of the humerus, okay? So it pretty much is security for the head of the humerus attaching to its joint within the scapula. So it acts as like a bodyguard for movement, okay? So it pretty much secures that head of the humerus into joint, and when you do move your arm and your shoulder, it pulls it tighter towards the scapula to allow the bigger muscles around the arm and the torso to do their job in terms of moving the arm, okay? So fascinating, just the security that they form for that head of the humerus. But like I said before, they also help with movement too. So the muscles, when they couple together, they help raise the arm above the head, and they also help with rotation of the arm, whether it be internal, arm behind the back, or external, raising it up like that to, you know, dry your hair after a shower and whatever you can think of, really. So what we want to show you is a picture of these muscles here. So we've got the humerus coming up into the scapula here, okay? So this is the back view, all right? So we can see the pink muscle here is teres minor, the yellow muscle is infraspinatus, the blue muscle is supraspinatus, and then on the other side of that, so looking from the front backwards, we see this muscle here, which is the subscapularis. Now, what I want you to pay attention to is where they're attaching. You see how they're all attaching to the head of the femur there? Head of the femur. Head of the humerus.
Your arm bone.
Oh, pardon me, the arm bone.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can see they're kind of encapsulating that whole area. And when they pull tight, you can imagine the direction of the fibers here, that when they shorten, they will pull that head of the humerus back into the scapula, okay, to allow that extra security. Okay, so it's really fascinating. So let's talk about these muscles individually, I guess. All right, let's have a look at the supraspinatus. So if you look at this, Ninj, this is looking at the back view of someone.
Let's focus, yeah.
The supraspinatus sits on top of the scapula here and then comes out, we look at this one, comes out underneath this little bone on the outside of the scapula and attaches onto the humeral head there, okay? So what this muscle does, small muscle but really powerful, really important, it initiates abduction of the arm, okay? So that first little 10 degrees, I think it is, of abduction, that initiates that, okay? And it allows us to really safely move our arm above the head by pulling that socket into its joint and allowing us to do that motion, okay? So given how small that muscle is, it's got a lot of demand on it, okay? And you probably would have heard someone that's had a supraspinatus tear, because you can see how the white bit there attaching right onto the head of the humerus. When you carry something heavy, when you raise your arm above your head, if you're more global, like bigger muscles aren't doing their job, this guy picks up the slack, okay? So for a small muscle, it takes a lot of force, okay? So very important muscle. Now if we go over the page, we can look at infraspinatus, which sits just below the supraspinatus, and it's a bigger muscle, okay? So what this muscle helps with is extension of the arm, or pulling the arm back like this, and also external rotation of the humerus of the shoulder. So rotating your arm out like this, okay? So waving to someone, or reaching into the back of the car to get the Melways out if you're back 15 years ago. That's what that muscle does. Let's go over the page again. Teres minor, which sits even lower underneath the infraspinatus, okay? So what this muscle does, it also rotates the arm laterally, or externally rotates the arm like the infraspinatus, but what it does is it also adds the arm back to the body. So when your arm is away from your body like this, it helps bring the arm back, okay? And the interesting thing about the teres minor is, look at the white bits. You know, we love looking at the white bits. So we see here down to the scapula more, there's more white than up here, like the infraspinatus and the supraspinatus. So maybe pay attention to that when you're trying to get into your teres minor. Go over the page to the last one, which is, this is a really cool muscle. This is fascinating. This is the Subscapularis. So it's pretty much the identical counterpart of the infraspinatus. So it sits on the inside of the scapula. So it's in the armpit. Once again, check out the white bits. Right up on that humeral head there in the armpit, there's a lot of white. So we know that if we can affect that, we're going to create a really good change for our shoulder. And opposite to what the teres minor and the infraspinatus do, the subscapularis internally rotates the shoulder, or brings it inwards like this. So reaching behind your back, pulling it down like this. Okay, so we've got external rotation, infraspinatus and teres minor, internal rotation from the subscapularis, okay? And the supraspinatus helps with abduction, the infraspinatus helps with extension, so pulling the arm back, and the teres minor helps with adduction, okay? So when we couple all those movements, it helps just move the arm above our head and also rotate the arm as well. But remember, back to my first point, its most important role, I guess, is security for the head of the humerus. It pulls that humerus back into the scapula to allow our more global, bigger muscles to do their job appropriately, to allow this amazing rotation of the arm, okay? So you think about throwing, marking a footy, you know, using a computer mouse even. These things can be minute, can be really small, but still very important for us to live our daily lives, okay? So if you've had shoulder problems, if you feel restricted when you're raising your arm, you can't raise your arm above your head, you can't reach behind to grab your Melways in the car, you can't scratch your back, you can't do your hair, whatever it may be, you'll know if it's you. This video is really important because it could be the thing that changes your life. All right, so stay tuned for Ninja coming up.
Okay guys, so we're going to get on to some hands-on work, but before that we always got to do some assessment work. So we want to have some kind of measure of how our bodies are currently performing, so we can kind of explore our shoulders. Just rolling around for a start is probably a good way, just to kind of understand how your shoulders are feeling, and then you can kind of remember this and then see how your treatment has gone. So then we can kind of do rotations, you know, all these different directions that our shoulders can rotate. Practice going behind your back. If that's one of the things that you feel, you know, has been bothering you, maybe you can use that as your measure. How far can you go? Can you kind of go around behind your back, things like that. So do all these kind of measures first, and yeah, then you can start to sort of sense where you want to hone in on. But today we're just going to go through a general kind of exploration of the shoulder. So what I'm going to do is kneel down and just start to feel. So I'm going to go for the one on the top of the shoulder blade first, and just sort of start to move around. And when you move around and then just sort of pin different muscles and stuff, you can kind of get a sense of what they do. So you try all the different rotations, reaching above your head, behind your back, when you're moving, you'll kind of get a sense, are they contracting? Are they feeling like they're bunching up and getting stronger when you're doing them, or are they relaxing and stretching? So you kind of get a bit of an idea what's going on, but you're also getting a sense of how they're performing, how painful they are, kind of, have they got inflammation, things like that. So yeah, just going across there. So when I'm going here, I'm on top and then I'm pulling up and trying to feel for that border all the time. So like that. And this one here, it goes across here. So I'm feeling there's a bit of tension there. So I'm going to pin that, go up, feel that muscle underneath, flicking under our hands. So with this sort of stuff, don't worry too much what you're on. Just try and get in this region, and then if it's painful, it's going to be beneficial, you know. So you're going to free something up. So it doesn't matter if you don't know the names or exactly what you're on. Just sort of make sure you're just working it and getting a good idea of where you might need to get in even deeper that you can't get in with the hands. But your hand can really do some good work. So kind of that muscle there goes underneath, so it disappears for a bit, then it comes up in here. So we're going to this bit here. So we want to really pin it and start moving around, start doing some rotations, getting some ideas. But this has got to go through really thick deltoids in order to get into that tendon level, if you can remember from the diagram. So you've got to get right in. So just doing this surface stuff like that, that's not going to cut it. That's your deltoid, your shoulder muscles are just thick there. So we want to get down into that tendon. We've got to get right into this level here. And you can go forwards and back across them and just sort of get a sense of what's going on in there. Is there a problem in here? Is it sort of stuck? Is it painful? Like that. But really get grip onto it like that, and then move your arm, rotate it around a bit. Try and reach up a bit. See if that can kind of get into it. And then you might want to, you feel like gouging it down a bit like that, or really pinning it, holding it like that. I can feel when I do that, and then I flip there. There's a muscle deep in there, a tendon deep in there, flipping under. So I know that feels good. So tune into these sensations. What does it feel like? That feels really therapeutic and it's helping, you know? So I want to go with that. Things that don't feel, you know, too bad, you just move on. So you're discerning. So, and things that are traumatic, you take that down as a note as well, and you don't want to go there yet, but you might want to just work the surface of something that feels traumatic and fresh and things like that. So you just sort of got to be discerning and figure out what's important and where to go. Okay, so got a bit of an assessment on that. So now I want to go underneath that bit on my shoulder blade. So I'm going to probably go with this hand round underneath the arm this time. So move around, get a good, you know, purchase on your shoulder blade. How does it feel? How am I going there, man? I'm back far enough?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm getting a bit of a sense what's going on by moving it around, what's rippling underneath, what kind of engages when I'm going up, and then kind of do some bit of rotations, these kind of things, and figure things out, you know. So yeah, we're just going to try and go along here and work up. So we want to get in at the bone level. We've got muscles covering over the top, so we want to get right into them, okay? So right into these kind of levels here. Work it out like that, and that feels good there. So I can actually access some tendons in here. You just know that it's on a tendon because there's a really different feel. Feels therapeutic, but you want to get some purchase. So I might want to help it out with this hand here, like that, and pull it like that. Really get into it and pull it out. So don't underestimate exactly what you can do with your own hands. Like, you don't have any tools or anything like that, it doesn't matter. You can kind of be effective, and you can get that feedback for how things are performing, and you can do a lot more movement while you are, you know, using your own hands like that. So I want to go for that down a bit lower, and we'll try and find our teres minor. So we've got to remember that tendon is just here, so we want to really grip onto that and give it a good workout. Okay, so if you're on a different muscle, it doesn't matter. You're just searching for where it's blocked, where it's painful, and trying to really get into it and sort of get some information about how your body's performing, and kind of understand what movement those muscles that you're pinning, what they do. So really get into it. Like that. Keep going. So you're just sort of really exploring around this area. Okay, just pushing right up into it, doing as best you can, use as much strength as you can. Your hands are probably going to wear out, but that doesn't matter. You just do as much as you can. Okay, so that's the 3 muscles on the back, and then we've got in here. So we've got to get into the Subscapularis, it's called. Bloody Ninja's Anatomy.
Ninja's bloody anatomy.
So with this, just you want to push into your armpit. So maybe with a thumb might be good. So then we can kind of start to figure out. So like that. So push right in under. And what we're trying to do is we're searching for the bones in here and where things are attaching on. So when you do these little movements, you'll start to sort of figure where the bones are and where that kind of muscle tendon kind of moves underneath. So when I'm onto the spot like this, I can feel that I'm on a spot. Doesn't matter what it is, just sort of search in here. You know, our scapula goes back in that way, so we can kind of move our scapula a bit and try and pinpoint exactly where we want. So if I go up here, that's probably a good way to kind of show you. We want to get right into here and try and pin a tendon. When I do that, I can feel it kind of flipping underneath my thumb a bit, or flossing it like that. So just gonna do that, okay? So you wanna have a good search around and find exactly where things are sore. Might be down the armpit a little bit more. Doesn't matter, in there's a good spot for me. So okay, so I've located a good spot, move it around a bit. So we've got nerves and glands and different things like that as well. So we wanna go in slowly. So that's a really key spot, key point, you know. Go in nice and slow to get all the glands and things to kind of move out of the way, and we wanna pin the tendon, okay? So once we've pinned something, I've got one there, what I'd probably do is I'd get there and I'd just relax it, and then I'd push up. So I might use my leg, my elbow, and just push right in. And then I might be able to do some little movements like that. So I'm really pinning it and yeah, really working it out. One of the things I think about when I'm working my own armpit is, I've done quite a bit of this in my life, but I used to have some elbow pain. So, you know, that's something you might be aware of. Like when you're pinning something, there might be a referral pattern somewhere else. So you might have had a sore elbow, say, but the source might be in here. So like you might not necessarily be having pain just here, but the pain in your inside elbow might be originating from in here. So yeah, what we're trying to say is, doesn't matter exactly what it is and if you're on the right spot or not, just try and find sources of pain, sources of tension, where it's blocked, and search for that therapeutic feeling, and just trust in yourself, because you're doing the treatment, so you can deliver this exactly the way that you want it delivered. You know, find the way, be inventive, innovate, think about what function's not working that well for you, and then just nail it, you know. So there, you'll the body is an amazing healing machine. We're just trying to facilitate its own healing mechanisms to work for you. So anyway, do as much as you possibly can with the hands. You probably can fix yourself with the hands, but got to get Aaron to come up with some tools next.
All right, guys, so just wanted to give you a little bit more theory. We've addressed that the pec can obviously cause some postural issues and some shoulder pain, but we also want to talk about some issues that it can cause going down the arm, okay? So from the neck, the nerves that come out of this cervical spine to supply the arm with power and feeling and sensation, they actually come through what's called the brachial plexus, out underneath this collarbone, and it pretty much comes right through this pec region, okay? So if we look at this chart here, Ninj, we can see especially the pec minor, these nerves come out of the neck underneath the collarbone and come out into the armpit, and you can see how they like pretty much come underneath the pec. And it's not only nerves, it's also like a lot of vascular systems as well come through there. So if you're a person who basically has issues with sensation in the arm, maybe tingling, burning, like a loss of power, maybe even change in temperature, like a cold hand, you might have some compression in this area that's clamping down on those structures we spoke of that can be causing issues down the stream here. Another really cool chart to look at is this nerve chart, Ninj. So we get a bit of a better understanding of where these nerves are starting from, out the cervical spine, and then coming down through the shoulder and into the armpit, and then down all the way to the hand. Okay, so just make sure you're aware that any compression in this area of the body, like the chest, the pec region, can have on a flow-on effect down the arm too. So when we're doing our releases as well, that you're about to see, a lot of the referral sensation that you'll get when you're on a trigger point will be down the arm. You might feel some kind of tingling or shooting sensations down the back of the arm. You might feel like a rush of blood going to the hand. So just be careful when you're doing it. Don't push through too much like pain that you don't think is productive, but just be aware that when you are releasing this area, you could have some great results in the arm itself, okay? So keep that in mind, and look forward to the exercises coming up. All right, guys, so we're going to start with our tools. I just wanted to take it back a notch and just show you a bit more about the chart. So as Ninja said, we got to go to these deepest layers here, okay? So you see the infraspinatus, the supraspinatus attaching to the head of the humerus here. But if we take it back a notch over here, this is what's sitting on top of all that. So you've got the deltoid, you've got the trap. So we need to go through these muscles to affect the rotator cuff, okay? So this is what Ninja was saying about we got to go deep. You got to be careful, you got to be discerning, but if you want to create change, we've got to go deep, all right? So we're going to start with the supraspinatus. So as we've already spoken about, that sits on top of the scapula here and goes along the spine of the scapula, disappears over the AC there, the acromion, and attaches underneath there onto the head of the humerus, all right? So what we're going to do is start with our theracane. If you haven't got one of these, you're just going to have to be inventive, and I'm going to show you a few more techniques as well, but just try and innovate, even with your hands or with any tools you've got, okay? So if I feel the back of my scapula, you should feel this bony line that runs from here all the way out to the kind of shoulder here. The supraspinatus sits on top of that. So if I flick over that, bang, into there is my supraspinatus. If I flick underneath that, like that, that's my infraspinatus, okay? So that's your kind of landmark, this bony spine of the scapula going across when you're trying to discern which is what. All right, so I've got my theracane. I'll find that spine there, bang, bang, bang. So I'm gonna come on top of that there, okay? So remember, we're going through the trap into the supraspinatus, so it won't be that hard to find some good spots here, okay? So what I'm gonna do is pull back into that spine of the scapula, and then I'm just gonna like trace down towards the shoulder. So you can see I'm gonna start to move, down towards the shoulder there. So I'm just tracing it down, scooping it out, staying right on that spine of the scapula though, all the way out to the shoulder joint. Oh. Yeah, it's pretty brutal. Very brutal. All right, so we'll reset that back here. Dig in. Go all the way back to, right there. Dig in, that's pretty brutal itself. And then we're just gonna drag it out, tracing that bone, just lengthening this supraspinatus. It's pretty brutal. You just gotta commit to it though. Just releasing this top layer of muscle, top layer of fascia, trying to get down deep into where that supraspinatus is. Oh, it's just dragging it out, all the way to the edge. Oh, and remember, it disappears under this bone up here. So I'm going to take it all the way out to that kind of acromion process there that forms the AC joint right in there. And I'm just going to try and pin down through there, see if I can create change. Move that arm around a bit. We can actually do this. Remember how it helps with taking the arm away from the body? So abducting the arm. So how good is that? How you can pin that muscle and then just start to move the arm too, like Ninja was showing us before. Oh. So just make sure you're always trying to kind of affect that bony area, which is that spine of the scapula. And that'll show that you're on the money. Oh. Do all these little rotations of the arm. Oh yeah, that makes it it kind of exposes it a little bit more. And remember, you're going through the trap, so you might be able to feel some kind of referral going up into the neck. You may feel some referral going out into the shoulder as well, okay? You just need to figure out what you're on by determining where the referral patterns are going. All right, so I'll keep coming out there. Ah, that's really, really good. Okay, so you've got your theracane. Now what we're going to do is do some work into the actual tendon of the supraspinatus as well, sorry. So what we're going to do is use our ball. If you haven't got a ball, you can get innovative with some tools, say the pestle, and do some work into it like this, but I'm going to show you with a ball so it's nice and easy for you. So what we can do is use our wall here. So we kind of figure out where that tendon is coming, probably coming under through there and attaching right onto the head of the humerus there. Probably locate there, but remember, just go off where your pain is. Don't worry about where exactly it is, just go off where you're feeling the pain. So push straight down into the ball. Remember, you got to go through the deltoid, through that shoulder, and you should feel it's almost literally pushing into the bone of that head of the humerus, okay? And that's the depth that we want to get to. So we're just searching there a little bit. Keep the pressure on so you don't flick over it, but we're just searching for exactly where we feel like we need it. So I'm going to come up a little bit more there. I can go down a little bit more too, into there. So once again, we're just searching. I can feel like that's a good bit right there. And then what you can also do, which is great, is start to move that arm. Oh, so you're just figuring out where your main sticking points are, and you're just flossing it. I feel like I want to come around to the front a little bit more, maybe into there, yep. Oh, that's really good there. Got a bit of referral going down the arm, kind of down that tricep line. So yeah, just be discerning with it, explore with confidence, try and find your main bits. Oh, that's a good one right there. All right. And just take your time, okay? There's no rush. Just go at your own pace. Always test, evaluate, retest, okay? And actually that feels really good. My shoulder feels quite a lot freer. So you should notice when you do these little rotation tests before you do your releases, as soon as you do a release, test that again straight away and see if it feels more buttery. See if it feels more fluid, okay? And there's not as much restriction. So Ninja's gonna show us now with the broomstick how to get into this supraspinatus.
Okay guys, so we're going to do some broomstick work. So we've got to caution once again, like this is the most advanced things we do, and we use this only when we've got a real detailed spot that we really want to target and it's been stuck in there. So with this sort of treatment is we can get lots of force into it and pin things really well and then move around at the same time. So yeah, don't do this unless you've done all the hands-on work, your broader tools, your easier tools to use, and then you can try and use this one if you really want to get something out. So we just want to make that clear first and then give you a bit of demonstration. So we're going to do what's it called? The supraspinatus?
Yeah, man.
We're going to do the supraspinatus.
There we go.
So on my knees, I've found a good secure spot up here. So it's not going to go anywhere. And then I'm getting in a position where I can kind of find the start of that. So we can kind of move around a bit just to try and find a spot. I think that's about it there. It's where she would start, I reckon. So that's probably a good one to start on because it's going to have tendon in that spot. So the white bits. So when I'm moving around, I'm pulling up those little bits. So when I'm pulling up with my hand here, I'm pulling up into a sore spot. So I'm knowing that that's going to be a spot that I want to pin and disperse. So don't worry if you're not on the right spot. Just try and chase your pain. Try and chase the dysfunction. Okay, so when we're on that spot, I can start to do little rotations and try and really exaggerate the spot and work the spot that I need. Okay, so just little movements like this, pushing off that leg there, so I can push off that and I can really pin harder into it. So yeah, you can get a lot of force into it and just really pinpoint exactly where you need to work. Okay, so with this as well, what we can do a little bit of a stroke, like a scoop. So I'm just sort of slowly scooping along that spine of the scapula, the shoulder blade, scooping along a bit like that. Oh, there's a spot there. So that's zinging up into the side of my neck, give me all sorts. So I'm just sort of managing the pressure. And so once I'm kind of on a spot, then I can kind of use this back leg to push harder into it. I can use this hand to pull into it like that, pull into that spot or push down into it. So exploring angles. So we want to clear the whole knot. So imagine it's a knot and we're trying to break it down, disperse it, melt it. So a knot isn't just a one spot. It's got lots of different angles that can be get into, that can be connected with in order to kind of melt it down. Like that, just exploring. So coming along here a bit more, just feeling for spots, moving around a bit. Like that. So we get into, try and find, oh, there's a good ropey tendon in there. So getting into it, moving around, keep on exploring, okay? So you kind of get the gist of that. So we go out to here somewhere where it's kind of starting to become more bony. And so we know that the tendons, the muscle's going to disappear about this sort of region here. So we can kind of try and get into it. We might go underneath it, round like that a bit more, and try and get it, yeah, like that. So that's a good angle there, I'm finding. Run a bit, do these rotations, and then, yeah, that is really kind of nailing the spot that we really want. Okay? Like that, moving around, these little jostles, angles, and we're managing the amount of pressure by pushing through our knees, pushing up into it, and we can also exaggerate it by using the hand. So this hand is really important, that's on the stick, that keeps it steady. We don't want kind of things to slip and things like that. So you want to stay engaged. So we're keeping constant pressure, so we're not kind of off and on, because that could mean that the broomstick could slip, but it's not as effective a treatment as well. What is effective is constant pressure that sinks in, slowly sinks in and connects, engages, and then stays engaged. Because you're not giving that really stuck, blocked up, tissue in there a chance to escape. We want it to melt, we want it to break down, okay? So yeah, so that gives you a bit of an idea of what you can explore for that part. But now we want to get into here. So into that part, we want to get the broomstick into the floor. And yeah, once again, don't be too worried if you're on bloody whatever muscle, supraspinatus or whatever it is, because it doesn't matter, we're just chasing the pain. So remember from the diagrams as well, in this area here, you got your big shoulder muscle over the top of where we want to get into, okay? So we want to push through that. So you got to melt through that and then just try and get into that bone level. So where your shoulder, your bones are, your arm bones are, we want to get into that level. So we're pushing right into it. So I'm kind of using my body weight, I can go down onto it like that. Then I can start to rotate a little bit. When I rotate those little bits and try and go out a little bit, that's when I know I can really engage with the tendon I want to get on, like that. Move around a bit, like that. So when I'm on a spot, what I can do, I can use the broomstick as a tool. So I can get on that spot, I can kind of push down like that. So when I rotate there, I'm finding a really good spot there, actually, like that. So you can kind of, if you're on a spot, you wait till it melts and that pain goes away, and then you explore angles, and then you might feel like you want to kind of do a really slow gouging kind of movement through that shoulder like that. Okay, so I'm pushing down with this hand and kind of moving around, trying to really stay engaged, connected that whole time, pushing into it and just really working that pain out of your body. Okay, so stay engaged, move around these little micro movements just to really try and engage with that tissue that you want to kind of eliminate out of your body, that pain, and yeah, work it. So yeah, and remember, test, Whoa, that's giving a lot of courage. So that's one of the things I want to kind of say as well is you're going to have some kind of soreness and pain and tenderness after all these treatments. We're working right into bones, working right into tendons. So you're going to have to expect some kind of result from pushing into these kind of areas. But we want you to stay in that positive mind frame all the time and know that you've connected exactly where you needed it. Body knows how to heal itself, and you're going to be fine. But you're going to probably have up to a week of tenderness after these treatments. Don't worry about it. That's normal. That's the way it should be. Know that you hit it, and it's going to heal up. Let's go on to the next muscle.
All right, guys. So now we're going to work on the infraspinatus and the teres minor. We're going to join these two together because they're just such close proximity with each other. So if we look at this muscle chart here, which we probably haven't really looked at too much yet, we've got the teres minor and the infraspinatus coming up here in this kind of triangular fashion there. Okay, so we've just worked on the supraspinatus, which is just above that bone there, which is the spine of the scapula. Now we're going to be working underneath that. So you can see it attaches pretty much to the whole inside of the scapula, fanning out to the head of the humerus and the top of the scapula there. Just to give you a little bit of extra context, back to the colouring book. See the pink and the yellow here, guys. So underneath that bone. All right. So given that they're quite easy to access, I'm going to show you a nice little warm-up broad release you can do with these using the old cardboard pipe. You can use a roller, you can use a footy, a basketball, anything that you please. So what you're going to need is a wall. Chuck the old roller like so. And what we're going to do is, come down a little bit lower there, just start squatting into these areas and rolling up and down to release. So pretty much you're just catching all the fibers of both muscle groups and you're just pinning and stretching and rolling over the top of them, all right? So you're just getting a real nice broad release before we do our more acute and targeted stuff. So, if I come around the side there, that's serious curry. As Ninja said too, you get a lot of referral going down the arm and to all sorts of places when you're doing this. For me, when I pin that there, straight to the front of my shoulder. Oh, it's brutal. Right there. You'll be able to feel it straight away if you're doing this, guys. Where your bits are, you pin and you'll just get this banging all throughout the arm and the shoulder there. So, even though this is a broad release still, it's still getting in there and causing some chaos, but it's good. Oh, golly gosh. How's it looking, Ninj?
Good.
So yeah, guys, that's a good start for you. Got a bit of blood going in there now. Now we have our old trusty Theracane. Okay, so this is a bit more targeted, a bit more precision. So, going to continue working through my old right side here. So how am I going to do this, Ninj? There we go.
There you go.
All right, so I've got my nice anchored areas here. My teres and my infraspinatus is exposed. And I'm just going to pin the bits that I feel like I need it in. So, yeah. That's it right there. Shooting straight to the top of my shoulder there. So pinning, holding, working all these angles. Move my rib cage a bit to accentuate the spot that I'm getting on. And with this infraspinatus region, it's so easy to find good spots. You literally won't have to try that hard. Anywhere you dig into, generally is going to be a spot to be working. Oh, that's good there. Generally you'll have to weave in and out. So yeah, as I was hooking in and pushing up on that one, yeah, that's it right there. Oh, the referral to that shoulder is intense. Ooh, feels good though, really, really good. So yeah, guys, if you're struggling to reach your arm above your head, to rotate your arm, especially when you're throwing a ball, you might feel some kind of pain in the shoulder, you can't pinpoint it. This is the area that you've got to get into. Just give it a try. Even if you're feeling the pain at the front of the shoulder, just given how much referral there is going into the front of the shoulder right now, it might be wise just having a look back here and seeing if you can hook into a good spot to free it up. So coming out into the shoulder a little bit more now. Yeah, right in there. Hook up under, bang, got it. Just flicking over that there. Getting some blood flow. Oh yeah, money. How's that looking, Ninj?
Good man, good demo.
Oh yeah, so we can go down a little bit. Remember the teres, how it went all the way down white, all the way down to that scap there. Let's go down a bit lower. Oh, that's good there too. Pin and hold, guys. You've got to be relentless with these spots. Even though they're brutal and you might want to back out sometimes, just ease off a bit if it's too much. But we've got to hold these spots to create change. Oh, all right. So you get the point with that. And the last one I want to show you here is just our classic ball on the wall trick again, which can also be super effective. So dissimilar to this one's more of a broad release. This one can be a little bit more targeted. Okay, so find our spot. Hopefully they don't fall off the wall again. And then we're just going to roll back and forth there. Figuring out that tissue first. Getting an idea of where our spots are. Oh, right there. Down to the elbow. Right in there. Now you flick over that a little bit. Bang. Flick back. Yeah, got it. Flick over it again. Oh, you see that, Ninj? See me rolling over that little bit. About now.
Yeah.
Oh. So yeah, can we work up into the shoulder a little bit more? So getting up to where they attach onto that head of the humerus. So remember, we want to not only work into the main bits of the muscle, we also want to get out into the areas they attach onto the bone. So got to go pretty deep here because we're going through rear delt right up into that head of the humerus. Oh, that's good. Hopefully you can see how deep that's going. Hold there, push back onto the wall. Oh, just move around. Not hard to find the good spots here. Oh, you can even do some movement too. So I'm going to just move my arm as I'm rolling over these bits. Maybe internally rotating to stretch that area, externally rotating to compress. Internal rotation to stretch, external rotation to compress. Oh, okay guys, you get the point. Just treat the teres minor and infraspinatus as one muscle. Get into all those spots inside of the scapula, all the way out to the humerus there. Just be relentless and you'll be able to fix your pain.
Okay, so once again, broomstick. This is an advanced one, so only do this if you've got a really targeted spot that you want to get and you haven't been able to fully get it with the ball and the roller and things like that. So what I've done, I've got a really secure spot onto the wall. It's not just trying to find an angle that'll help me hit right into it. So then what I can do, once I find a spot, I can move around and then push off and lean over and just nail that spot. Okay, once I'm on a spot, then I can start to explore movement just so I can try and exaggerate the pain. Just so then I can know that I'm on the right track to fixing up the spot. So just in here like this, I can really feel there's a spot. I'm gonna do that, push into it. So it's kind of cleared. So it's like you keep on searching for spots. So I'm just gonna go along my shoulder blade and try and find, oh, there's a spot. So when I'm on a spot, I can pull back with this hand here on the broomstick, pulling in like that, and then leaning back and finding a spot. Then move your arm around those little, oh shit, these little bits, and just hitting the spots that you need that are being, causing you bother. Oh shit, causing you bother, and giving you a bit of curry. So yeah, I'm just going to move along because that was hurting. You just try and really nail all these spots. So yeah, you might feel like you need to come down into it, so you might be able to pull down into the spots, or you change your angle so you can hit a spot, so you might want to come down or move around so you can kind of hit a spot. So do whatever it takes to hit it. So you might feel like you want to do a bit of a gouge, with the stick like that. So I'm on a spot there. So with this again, don't worry about the anatomy so much, just worry about chasing that pain, those solidified tissues, and just manage the pressure, you know, like you can feel where you need it. And yeah, just do the perfect treatment for yourself. Okay? How's that? I'm using the side of the stick now. On there. How's that look? Am I right?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Probably bit of rhomboid there. I come back to the shoulder a bit more, man.
Oh,
yeah.
I was chasing the pain.
He's chasing, getting too excited, going somewhere else.
Just chasing the pain. So yeah, we want to go.
Yeah. That's the money.
Tendons, you know.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You get a bit confused when you do it on
That's
yourself.
the one there, man.
I felt like I was going outwards, but I was actually going inwards. So it's like you can get a bit disorientated when you're doing this sort of stuff. So
have an explore through there, man.
Yeah. Yeah, when it's on your own back, you kind of don't really know exactly what you're doing. So when I do that, I can really feel I'm hitting into a tendon, and it's quite painful. But I know in a week from now, this is going to be awesome. Oh yeah, right into that. So I can use my back leg to really push into it. I can lean over more and hit a spot that I really know is important. Hold me back, start to move around. Oh. These little movements like that, they're doing plenty. So they just look like a little movement, but it's actually helping me engage with the right spot and fixing it up. Like that.
That's good, man.
So yeah, like that. Keep on exploring. Make sure you work it until that pain goes. Just know, tune into that intuition, trust it. That gets it. Like that. Just explore. That's what you're doing, mate.
That looks good, yeah.
Like that. I go that
Those
way.
little movements, yeah, that looks awesome.
So I can really drive into those spots where I need it.
That's
Do a bit
got
of
it, man.
practice a bit of Tai Chi.
Bit of Tai Chi, bit of Qigong.
Qigong.
You've done a bit
Kung Fu.
done a bit of Qigong before, haven't you, Ninja?
Bit early for Kung Fu, isn't it, Jimmy?
I don't know what that's
You
like.
look that up. It's a chopper line.
It's pretty early in the morning for Kung Fu, isn't it, Jim? What's the matter with you?
Anyway. Whoa. There's your broomstick on your shoulder blade. Get into it.
Alright guys, the last video in our rotator cuff video series is the Subscapularis, so the muscle in the armpit. Really cool muscle. Come have a look again. So it's the green one, sits on the inside of the scapula, so pretty much the counterpart to the Infraspinatus and the teres minor. Okay, so we access it through the armpit. If I take this away, let's have another look at this muscle. So you'll know we love treating the white bits, and luckily for us, the white bit is the easiest part to access within the armpit. Okay, so if you see this on this chart here, you can see how it sits just behind the rib cage on the inside of the scapula, but the most attainable part, the easiest part to grab and affect is the part that's, I guess, on the outside of the muscle. So let's have a look at how to get in there. I guess I want to preface these releases by just telling you guys, you've got to be careful when you're getting into your armpit. Ninja's already spoken about it, but there's a lot of nerves, vascular structures, glands that are in the armpit. So when you're pushing in there, you can't be too quick. You can't be moving things around too much. You got to go slow, and you got to allow the body to take time to register what you're doing, so you can stay safe. Okay, because we want you to be productive with these releases and not actually cause more trauma. So the tools that we've got are the leg of a chair, a rolling pin, and then Ninja's going to show us some broomstick stuff. Okay, so with these tools, we've come up with a really cool way that you can get into your armpit by using, say, a platform like this. So just try and assume the position that I'm in right now. All right. I'm going to start with the chair leg first, then work into the rolling pin, and then we're going to go to the most acute tool, which is the broomstick. Right, so I'm going to be working into my right armpit. So I'm going to wedge the leg of the chair down on that platform, and then we're just going to slowly allow that tool to sink up into our armpit there. Okay, so just being really careful, paying attention to what I'm feeling, not going too hard. Okay, just being really careful, pushing up, and you're just making sure that you're staying in like a muscular zone. So trying to figure out what's flicky. Remember, you've already done your hands-on stuff, so you should know what's in there, okay? So you should have a better understanding of what you're pushing into. If you haven't done your hands-on stuff, do that before doing this, so you have a better understanding of what things feel like in there and what the good areas are like, okay, when you're pressing into them. So once again, we're trying to find bone, and we're trying to find the tendons that are attaching to bone, okay? So once we find the area, you should get some kind of referral sensation down the arm. It should be like a muscular sensation though, okay? If you get any really sharp tingling, pins and needles, burning, you're not on the right area. You're probably on a nerve. Just reset, take it out and go again, okay? And remember, the body needs time to register what you're doing. Whenever we're doing any armpit work with actual clients, we're really careful, we go slow, okay? Because a lot of the times, things need to move out of the way, okay? So once you go in slow, things will kind of shuffle out of the way and then you'll get to the depth that you need to be. So right there, already, I feel like I've got to the spot. It took probably 30, 40 seconds, but now I feel like I've got to that subscapularis tendon. And what I can start doing maybe is just doing these small movements of my arm. So taking it into external rotation and internal rotation. Doesn't matter what you're doing though, just do what you feel like you need to do to be productive. So I feel like if I'm angling up towards the door, so I'm kind of pulling my body weight down towards my feet here, so the tool goes up towards the door. So I'm kind of going out on a 45-degree angle like that. Feels really, really relieving. Really therapeutic, okay? So you'll get a better understanding with your body, you know, where your spot is might not be where my spot is. So you just need to explore with confidence, guys, but just be careful. All right, so we've got a better understanding of where my spot is. Maybe we can go with a sharper tool if you want to do some more detailed work. So same thing, we wedge it against the ground there, and we try and, once again, when we're going in, we've got to be careful again. Going into that spot. Oh yeah, that's good. Oh yeah. How about that? Oh yeah. Rolling pin gets it done. Oh, what is going on there? That's good. Oh, golly gosh. So remember too, guys, you got like a lot of other structures in here too. You got the lat coming up, you got the teres major. So like Ninja says, don't worry about what you're on, what the name of it is. Just follow where you need to be, where your pain is. Maybe it's not subscap, maybe you're on lat, doesn't matter. You go where the pain takes you. Chase that pain. That feels great. It's really getting into a good spot. Whoa, I'm trying to give myself quite a bit of curry now. I reckon I can just lean myself onto that a little bit more, being careful, not going too crazy, and then I can start to do some movements there too. Oh yeah, that's good stuff. All right, so take your time. Like I said, I can't say that enough. Be safe, be careful. You can do this for as long as you want, as long as it stays productive. Always test, retest though. That feels buttery, fluid, smooth, okay? But maybe you need an even more acute tool. So the old witch himself is going to bring his broomstick out to finish us off. I couldn't fucking help myself, could I? Couldn't help myself. Why subconscious?
What's that music? Oh no. DJ Ninja, he's back.
DJ Ninja's back in the house.
You like it?
You like my hat? Ninja. Alright, we better get a bit more serious. Let's shut that off. So, got a bit of armpit problems. Let's have a look at it. So, we're gonna caution once again, you don't do this unless you really need to. The hands can really get in there good. The blunter tools can get in there really well. So we only want to do this if you've got a real problem up there and you've identified it already. So you will have, so before you do this stuff, you want to find the spot, really identify exactly where that spot is, and you can actually hold the spot and then just try and get the broomstick onto that spot, okay? So what I want to do is pin it and make sure you get it secure on the ground, secure here with your hand. So you just wait, like Aaron said before as well. You just really take your time, let those different things get out of the road, the glands, the nerves, whatever it is in the road. Just let them kind of get out of the way, and then you can kind of connect in with what you want to connect on. So right now I've connected in there, I just flicked off, connected in, and then start to move around these little bits. Start to rotate a little bit, and just really try and engage right where you want to engage with. Whoa, like that. So this is quite a good tool. You can really manage the amount of pressure. You can use this hand to push into things more. So I'm pushing that way with that stick and then pulling forward into things. So we're trying to hit onto where these tendons join onto our arm bone. Okay, right up in there. So I can do a little bit of a walk through. Oh, geez, like that. And really connect in. So I'm pushing back with this hand here and then walking through like that. And when I go like that, I can feel it really starting to burn and hit on something. So yeah.
Might get you to turn around too, man, so I can see from this way. Might be able to get in there. If you turn around and face me, yeah, just so I can see you going into the armpit itself. There
Yep.
we go.
So up in here.
There we go.
Ah, Jesus. So I really feel that. Move it around. Hook in, and so you can try and follow these tendons as well more into your arm. That's really a therapeutic feeling. I just know that's where that tendon connects onto the bone. That's where a lot of stress has gone through that point. The tendons are where all the stress happens, because that's where they're pulling the different bones around. That's how movement happens. The tendons are the thing that attach on really securely, and so there's stress through there. The muscles are the squishy bits. They're the ones that move. They contract and lengthen like that. So we want to get into where the stress is all kind of accumulated and build up over many years, you know. So really get into those spots and tune in, you know. That's the other thing as well. You can test, you know, how's it feel? Have you got the right spot, you know? Maybe you can feel it somewhere else, so you kind of go again, you know, you try and get a different spot. So it's just really exploring, and this is just an awesome tool. So I'm really pushing back into that and trying to find exactly where that tendon is. So like that. So yeah, just get creative. You might want to find an angle, you know, sideways or whatever. So you just sort of do whatever you need to do to hit those spots and move. You know, so there's no kind of real rigid rules. We're trying to help ourselves out, give ourselves the perfect treatment, and yeah, get ourselves to heal. So yeah, so that's the broomstick armpit release. So yeah, give it a go, but only do it if you haven't been able to hit the spots with your hands and with maybe a broader tool first. So good luck with all the rotator cuff stuff. It is quite a tricky area to treat, but because you're treating it, you're the expert on you. So perhaps you can deliver a better treatment than anybody in the whole world has ever tried to before, you know. So there, just kind of follow the leads, trust yourself, and yeah, maybe you might just surprise yourself and everybody else that has said that it's stuffed. But yeah, we know in our heart that we can get it right. So that's why you're watching this video. There is hope, okay? So good luck with it all, and thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more videos in this series.
Rotator cuff. Hey guys, welcome to Melbourne.
Thanks, mate. It's a bloody beautiful place. Look.
Bloody beautiful, isn't it?
Oh,
Look
yeah,
at all
nice
the
guy.
sun. No masks. Alright, that was a bit shit. Do that again. Rotating your arm. Security for your joints. Okay. G'day guys, welcome to Fix It Yourself. Welcome, why am I saying welcome? Welcome.
Okay, so we're going to get into some hands-on work.
Alright guys, the last muscle in our rotator cuff video series, probably the most interesting as well. Come in.
Okay, so pretty much opposite to the infraspinatus and the teres minor.
Alright guys, the last muscle in our rotator cuff video, the subscapularis, probably the most interesting. Got some interesting ways that we can release this. We're going to use the old chair leg and rolling pin, and then Ninja's going to show you some broomstick stuff. Now I want to preface this video with, or this part of the video, with just being careful. I think Ninja's already mentioned the amount of nerves, the amount of glands, and the amount of other structures that are coming through the armpit. So let's just be really discerning that when we're going through this area, you take it slow, you're paying attention to what you're feeling, you're not going too fast, you're not going too quick, you're not moving things too much. Just allow your body the time to register what you're putting in there, and then go. Sorry, man.
You're doing so well.